Did you ever feel like asking for help is harder than solving the problem yourself? You could be exhausted, overwhelmed, lost, sitting with something that would be much easier if you simply texted someone and said, "Can you help me with this?" But instead you wait. You tell yourself you will figure it out. You search online. You make a plan. You carry it alone. And if someone notices and asks, "Why didn't you just ask me?" you almost do not know how to explain it. Because in your mind, asking for help does not feel simple. It feels like owing someone, burdening someone, losing control, admitting weakness, or opening a door you are not sure you can close again. Some people ask for help naturally. They treat it like borrowing a pen, a normal part of being human. Other people would rather struggle for 3 days in silence than send one honest message. So what is the psychology of people who never ask for help? The first thing to understand is that independence can become part of someone's identity. For some people, being capable is not just a skill, it is how they know they are safe. They are the person who handles things, the person who stays composed, the person who does not make their problems everyone else's responsibility. They may even feel proud of this, and in many ways they should. Self-reliance can be powerful. The problem begins when self-reliance becomes the only acceptable version of yourself. Imagine someone who grew up hearing things like, "Don't be dramatic, you're fine, stop making a fuss," or "Other people have it worse." Over time, that person may learn that needing support creates discomfort around them, so they adapt. They become low maintenance. They become easy. They become the one who says, "It's okay," even when it is not. Years later, they may no longer need anyone to say those words. Their own nervous system says them automatically. Don't ask. Don't bother anyone. Just deal with it. That is how a person can look strong from the outside while quietly feeling alone on the inside. There is also something called self-efficacy, a concept psychologist Albert Bandura wrote about. In simple terms, it means your belief that you can handle what is in front of you. People with high self-efficacy often trust themselves to take action. They believe, "I can probably figure this out." That can make them persistent, practical, and calm under pressure. But there is a hidden side to this. If someone has handled everything alone for years, their brain starts treating help as unnecessary or even unsafe. They do not think, "Maybe this would be easier with support." They think, "I've survived worse by myself," and that sentence can become a prison. Because surviving alone teaches competence, but it does not always teach connection. There is a difference between being able to do something alone and believing you must do everything alone. People who never ask for help often confuse the two. One person struggles with a problem and thinks, "This is hard, I should call someone." Another person struggles with the same problem and thinks, "This is hard, I need to become stronger." Same situation, different internal rule, and those internal rules usually come from experience. Some people learned early that help was unreliable. Maybe they asked and nobody came. Maybe they opened up and were dismissed. Maybe they depended on someone who later used it against them. Maybe the support they received came with criticism, shame, or strings attached. So their brain made a calculation. It is safer to need less. This is where attachment comes in. People with more secure attachment often believe that others can be available without it becoming dangerous. They can ask, receive, and still feel like themselves. People who learn that support is inconsistent may become more guarded. They may want closeness, yet feel uneasy when they actually need it. Help feels comforting in theory, but threatening in practice. The moment someone offers support, their mind may start scanning for the cost. Will they think I am weak? Will they bring this up later? Will they feel annoyed? Will the first owe them? Will they leave if I need too much? That is why they often choose silence, not because they have no needs, because having needs has not always felt safe. Another reason people avoid asking for help is control. When you do everything yourself, you know the timing, the method, the details, and the outcome. You may be stressed, but at least the stress is familiar. When you ask someone else, uncertainty enters the room. They might do it differently. They might disappoint you. They might misunderstand. They might say no. They might help in a way that creates even more emotional work. For someone who values control, that can feel worse than the original problem. This is why highly responsible people often struggle to delegate. They do not always believe others are incapable. They simply feel more peaceful when the burden is in their own hands. The task may be heavy, but it is predictable, and predictability can feel safer than trust. There is also a social reason. Many people who never ask for help are excellent at helping others. They remember what others need. They give advice. They show up. They listen. They fix. They support people through chaos. From the outside, this looks generous, and often it is. But sometimes helping others becomes a way to stay on the safe side of vulnerability. When you are the helper, you remain useful. You remain needed. You stay in control of the emotional distance. When you are the one asking, the roles reverse. Suddenly, someone can see your uncertainty, your fear, your limits. And for someone who has built an identity around being strong, that role reversal can feel almost physically uncomfortable. They would rather be exhausted than exposed. This is why the strongest people in a group are often the hardest to truly know. Everyone knows what they can do. Few people know what they are carrying. There is a strange loneliness that comes with always being capable. People assume you are fine because you usually are fine. Or at least you look fine enough. You answer messages. You meet deadlines. You solve problems. You give calm advice while your own mind is overloaded. And because you rarely ask, people stop checking. Not because they do not care, but because they have been trained by your silence. This is one of the painful loops of never asking for help. You hide your needs, then feel unseen when nobody notices them. The mind says, if they really cared, they would know. But people are not always good at reading hidden pain. Most people respond to what is shown to them. If you always show competence, they may never realize you are close to breaking. Asking for help interrupts that loop. It gives people a chance to meet you where you actually are. Of course, this does not mean asking everyone for everything. Healthy help is not helplessness. It is choosing the right person, the right moment, and the right level of honesty. You do not have to hand someone your entire life. You can start small. Can you look at this with me? Can I talk this through? Can you remind me I'm not overreacting? Can you help me with one part of this? Small requests teach the nervous system something new. I can need something and still be respected. I can receive support and still be independent. I can let someone help without losing myself. That is how trust is rebuilt, not through one dramatic confession, but through repeated experiences where asking does not lead to shame. And if you are someone who never asks for help, the goal is not to become dependent on everyone around you. The goal is to stop treating support like danger, because people are not meant to be self-contained machines. We are social creatures. The human brain evolved in groups, in families, in tribes, in shared survival. Needing others is not a design flaw. It is part of the design. Strength is not only carrying weight. Sometimes strength is knowing when the weight is becoming too much to carry alone. So if asking for help feels difficult, there may be a reason. Maybe you learned to be easy. Maybe help was unreliable. Maybe your independence protected you. Maybe being needed always felt safer than needing. But the fact that you learned to survive alone does not mean you have to keep proving it forever. You can still be capable and supported. You can still be strong and tired. You can still be independent and let someone stand beside you. Because the deepest kind of strength is not never needing anyone. It is finally feeling safe enough to say, I cannot carry this by myself today.